Hey guys, Matt here. It's the Broken Supercoach. Just checking in. As per usual, it's round two's just wrapped up. Supercoach has just reset, so I thought I'd jump in. We'll put a video up. Round review. We'll go through the rookies. We'll go through the scores. What sort of correctional trades are you going to need to use a boost? Couple of some potential disasters this weekend. Some interesting numbers from some players. Have we missed anyone? Do we need to make some moves? We'll go through that and have a look. How did we do for the week? 2360, top 12%. So decent score. Looking around leagues and whatnot, I'm pretty happy with that score. And top 20k. Don't take too much notice of your rank. I mean, if you're obviously sitting in that low 100s, then you're in strife. But don't take too much concern about where your rank is at the moment. Everyone's got a pretty similar team, really, at the moment. We're talking about one or two players. Realistically, if you've got a good team at the moment, you're probably only 4 or 5 players in different lines, and most of those are sitting on your bench. I think as far as playing players go, most good teams are only, whether you've got Steele or Bowie, whether you've got, one of sort of Brody, McGovern, Cherry, those guys. We'll go into that, but realistically, there's not a huge difference between a lot of teams. But there's some interesting names that have come up, that have come to the forefront, come to the attention that we might need to do something about. Perhaps we might have missed. We'll just go in. We'll have a look how the team went first. Do a quick review where I'm sitting. So yeah, all good. I had one league match. Credit to the bloke that beat me 1-1. 2360 is a good score to lose on, or it's a tough score. So what did I do last week? I didn't make any trades. I gave Crisp one more, and I gave Ridley one more. And weirdly enough, I don't know if I'm happy. Those are good scores, but I'm still not sold on either of these two blokes, and that's really bizarre. Crisp, all right. He's shown that he's going to be able to score in the midfield, but the Crows' midfield is poor. It's a very weak midfield at the moment, and the Crows straight up didn't show up. So anyone could have scored 120 against that midfield. I'm still not convinced he's a very good player. He was burning the footy a lot. I think he got his 120 from, there was a period where they went on a bit of a goal run, and I reckon he got 3 or 4 clearances in a row. I reckon he got perhaps got a goal and a couple of score assists, and I reckon that's where all of his points came from. I'm not sold on him, but because he's got 120 and he's a premium, I think I just have to trust him now and just hope that he can give us scores of 100. And hopefully he comes up against some other really quite trash midfields. Maybe not this week, but we'll see. Ridley, 100. Like I said, it almost feels like 100 is the best Ridley's going to give us this year. I don't know. Essendon aren't very good. Maybe he gets more against Melbourne because the ball's going to be inside their forward line and not more. But again, he's scored 100, so I've kind of have to stick with him. Short's great. I know I've talked down on him last week because he took so many kick-ins, and that's where all of his points comes from. But the positive is that he takes all of the kick-ins, and that's where all of his points come from. So, it's one of those things where he's taken all Richmond's kick-ins. But that's also why we picked him, because he's taken all of Richmond's kick-ins. So you can't, look into that too deeply. That's why we picked him. And I can't see anyone else taking that kick-ins. So we're all right with that. The bottom line here, obviously I did the loop for once McRae scored 142. I think I went through it on the video perhaps Thursday. Or it might have been, I spoke about that Thursday. Or if I did it on Friday morning, wasn't it? That I was going to loop to Conning in, and went Hinge, who returned an 84, so really happy with that. And he looked nice too. He looked really nice. So I will go V on him again. So I'm really happy with that output from Hinge. Well done to him. So that's really handy. McCartan as well, 80. Big Bud with the 1,000. McCartan looks great across halfback. Now he'll make us a lot of money. And you can swing him forward eventually, but where obviously he's not a keeper. Neither is Hinge, not a keeper. So we've got to fill 2 spots here. And Whitfield is not a keeper either. I think this is danger stations now. He will drop in price this week quite significantly. So I think we've got to address Whitfield. I don't know why Whitfield's not scoring the way he usually does. He seems to be playing the same role. He seems to be playing, that mid halfback role that he's always played his whole career. He reckons he's fit. He looks fit. He just seems to just be not getting as much footy. And is that because Tom Green is getting a lot more footy and he's getting a lot of those contested balls and Whitfield's able to sit back a little bit? I don't know. It's not working for the GWS footy team, that's for sure, because they haven't won a game yet. So, regardless, I don't really care about the GWS as a footy team. So, I'll probably address that this week. Now, what do? We probably go down. I mean, if I could... Depends what else I do. You could go up to Aaron Hall or Tom Stewart. I really think I like Hall. But I think the smartest choice is to go down to Hewitt. Based on how little cash generation we're going to get out of these defenders nowadays. At this point. Sorry about that. Bit of a reload there. I mean, Gibcus is our only guy making money in defense at the moment. So... and Hinge, obviously. But... yeah, we're going to have to do probably Hewitt there, and then we'll run these two. And hopefully these guys can, hopefully DeConning can come back this week. Geelong looked at very average, so hopefully he comes straight back into the team because he has looked good for them through preseason and decent in round one until he got concussed. And then Gibcus, hopefully he retains his spot. He's just generating points. He's not going to make us a lot of money, but if you consider that you've got 70k, perhaps we get a 100k rookie at some point. Perhaps we get 70k plus whatever he makes for us. No big deal. Let's run through the mids now. Pretty happy. I mean, Lachie Neale, he's back. So that's probably the story of the week, is that Lachie Neale is well and truly back. He looked like his absolute magnet self. Brownlow form. He just had it on a string. He looked so good. So we've got an absolute bargain, $540 for Lachie Neale. And if you don't have Lachie Neale, I honestly, there are very few players at the moment that I think you should move mountains to get in. Lachie Neale is one of them. You are saving $150,000 by trading him in right now, and you've got to find a way to do it. If I'm being honest, because he will shoot up to 700k and he will stay there. What's his break even at? -20, and his price is 540,000. Think about that. So yeah, we're really happy we got him. Captain option. If let's be real, he's a captain option at the moment. What's he done? 140 and 198. Obviously against two pretty poor footy teams. He's playing another pretty average footy team next week as well. So, and he's got quite a friendly loop if you need to slap the C on someone if McRae fails. So, we'll talk about that towards the end. We've got a couple of captain options now, which is really happy. McRae, spoke about him on Friday. He's one of the best. At 700k, his break even is going to be high, but he's going to hover around that and whatever. He's first picked. Jack Steele looked better tonight. 111. I'm still pretty unhappy with that performance. And what's going to happen now again is people are going to get Jack Steele cheaper in the buys. But whatever. I didn't want to miss out on Jack Steele, and that's a decision I made. And I'm all right with it. He's there. It's fine. We're not going to trade him. If he had dropped another 80, I would have traded him this week. But 111, we'll take that. That's what we expect from Jack Steele. I think as the season goes on, we'll get those bigger scores from him. He's not going to be a caption option, but he's going to give us those scores. Took Miller. This man's just amazing. I'm so glad that I went with all three, because the truth be told is if I had only had two of them, I probably would have been swayed on Steele. At the end of the day, I would have been swayed on having these two and not Miller. So I'm really glad I went Miller, because, man, he looks good. 137, 140, pumping out 138 average, which I believe is the highest. Potentially the highest in the league. I started Lachie Neale, of course. But, wow. Yeah, he looks good. Absolute magnet. Rao, we're going to see this from Rao. Every now and then he's going to drop lower scores. He is a third-year player. He's played less than, what's he played, like 20 games. Don't be too mad. 157 against just a trash team. I think what we can expect from Rao is 70s to 100s with some inconsistencies. Initially, I thought that maybe he's going to be a keeper, and he still might be an M8 keeper if he averages between, say, 80 and 110, and cash generation and trades are tough. He still might be that guy. And in that same vein, Horn Francis this week with the high score, Dacos with the lower score. So that's what we're going to see out of these first round picks, out of these, top end draft picks. One week they're going to score really nice, another week they're not going to score great. We just keep riding them until they go. Dacos, now that I've seen it, I don't think either will be a keeper. I think Dacos will be very handy bench cover late in the year, and he'll probably be our last traded out. But when he gets defense DPP later in round 6, he'll be super handy because I'm concerned that DeConning doesn't get back in. I'm concerned that Gipkus doesn't keep his spot. We just need these guys to play till round 6. Stevens, beautiful, look good. Sydney look good. They look dangerous. Great rookie. Probably the must-have rookie at the moment because he's just so consistent. And he's now become an on-field threat as well. 95, 60. You'll take that from your rookies every day. Bench rookies, I have the 3. You guys know, Ward, McDonald, Soligo. Disaster stations with Soligo, if I'm being honest. What did he put up last time? 30-odd? 29? And he came on as the sub. He was named as the sub and then came on and played. So that's his second game as a 7. So he's not going to crash significantly because he's such a cheap player, but we're going to lose money on this bloke. And that's a disaster. So it's not the end of the world because I don't actually think he'll play next week. So I don't think he plays in the showdown. So we don't have to trade him. But what you do need to consider is that as soon as Soligo is named, you do have to side trade him to another rookie because you can't afford to lose money on rookies. Not in the way that we're playing the game at the moment, where there's just so few attractive rookies. You can't afford to lose money on one. So as soon as someone comes in that you can switch to, you have to do it with Soligo because this is disaster stations. And at the end of the day, it could have been worse. We could have had what's his name, Owens. So I'm not too fast. It seemed like a good pick going in. I don't think he plays AFL again. I was surprised he got named as the sub, and I think the only reason he did is because perhaps he'd had a good run in the 2s, and they wanted to see other players in the 2s. Barry, Haitley, guys like that who played in the 2s. One of those will come in. Haitley probably named as the sub, and Barry probably comes straight into the team, or the other way around, either or. Water McDonald making us money, great, stay there. Neither are going to be field options for us with these guys putting out these scores. The rucks, it's so weird to see rucks score so few in today's game, isn't it? Like 100 from Grundy, that's unusual, and 75 from Witts. Like we're used to seeing captain, vice captain right here, but oh well. And Dixon was out with the COVID protocols. I'd heard that naturally they had a massive list of outs. Dixon was affected, Ho was affected. What we might find is Soligo doesn't get named. Speaking of COVID protocols for West Coast, Soligo doesn't get named this week. Ho might play his second game next week, and then we might be able to make 10K by going Soligo to Ho, perhaps. And then make more money as Ho goes up in price, and that gets Soligo out of our hands. So not ideal, but that's the risk we had to take. And the forward line looks... I'm happy with this forward line. I'm worried about the 6th position because Rochelle and Hayes just seem to be so volatile with their scoring. Maybe when Martin comes back next week, maybe we field him. But yeah, these 3 are just going to be Russian roulette as far as who do you put on the field and hope that you pick the right guy. We're able to loop Martin this week. So I had Martin on Rochelle. He got 58. I thought that was on the low end of what Hayes can score, and we were right, 68. So got the extra 10 at the end of the day. It wouldn't have been a big deal if we had Rochelle on instead of Hayes. It'll be interesting to see what Martin puts up next week. Or do we have a real obvious F6, or are we just going matchups? Rochelle in the showdown. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about it now. St Kilda against Richmond, I think Hayes could be a really good option. I think you got to rule Martin against Melbourne out. I think you just can't. You can't trust it. Melbourne should win by 100 there. Do you go? I think Rochelle in the showdown. Port don't look great. Their defense actually looks horrendous. Unsure how many ins they get back, but if they play the same defense they played against Hawthorn, Rochelle probably is your on-field choice. With no loop option, it's dangerous because you're committing to that on a Friday night. It'd be really handy. I don't want to say that, but if Martin perhaps doesn't get named again, it'd be really handy to be able to use that to sort of loop again. Oh no, because he's playing the same time, so you can't even do it. Geez, I don't know. That makes it tough then, doesn't it? I'm going to go with Rochelle because I just think he's going to score. He looks like a big game player. Scored in every quarter he's played in. He just looks like a good player. So I'll go him. I know that Hayes probably has the higher ceiling. And Richmond probably is a more favourable matchup. But, I'm a Crows man and I love this kid, Rochelle. So he'll be my F6. Brody, 100. Great. That's what we wanted out of him. And he was on track for 100 before he was pulled in the Crows game too. So he looks nice and he could actually be, assuming he remains fit, could be our guy for an F5 or F6 going forward. Either way, he's going to make us a good amount of cash. Concerns that they named him on the bench though. Definite concerns there. He should score a massive number if West Coast still have some sort of COVID protocol issues, but they're playing on Sunday and all those COVID protocols, they're 7 days, so it's Friday, Saturday, but a team that makes 14 changes, you can't really, because they'll make another, 13 changes or something. But, team consistency means a lot in AFL nowadays. So, can't expect Brody to go again. McGovern's been disappointing, sadly. The role's there. He just doesn't seem very good at it. And the truth is, I was concerned about this pick. 70 against Richmond, I was feeling good about. But going in, I was worried about it because McGovern was a Crows player and he went to Carlton. And I just don't think McGovern really likes footy that much. I don't think he cares that much. So he doesn't go the hard balls. I mean, that's probably pretty harsh to say, but I don't think he's it, if I'm being honest. I don't think he's our guy. And we probably correct McGovern this week as well to a cherry. What I'd like to be able to do, the issue there is if Soligo gets named and I've got McGovern, perhaps I just have to grin and bear it with Whitfield, which I hate. So I have to choose out of, I might have to use the boost if Soligo gets named. Or knowing that we're just going to go down to Ho, just accept that I'm not going to make the full 10k out of Ho. Perhaps Soligo goes down to 113 or something, and I lose 4,000 in, and then it's 4,000 to pay a boost, so that's probably not the best. What are people doing? Yeah, everyone's getting Cripps in, everyone's getting Hewitt in. Yeah, as said, everyone's getting Whitfield, everyone's getting McGovern in. If you're trading Josh Ward, that's foolish, unless he got injured, I didn't know. Heaney, another one that looked good. Obviously, Cherry's the good one. And the other guy I wanted to talk about was Jake Bowie, and I think we've missed him. And I hate that we missed him. But he's the guy I wanted to talk about. So let's go through and have a look at, we'll go through the players, and we'll just go for, how are we going to do this? We'll go defense. We'll go total points. And we'll just have a look at some of the top names here. Aaron Hall looks like D1, and at 572, he looks really good. He's going to go up in price. I'd love to be able to get him. And it'll be, I think all week I'm going to go between whether I like Hall or Hewitt. The reason I think I like Hewitt more is because Hewitt is more of a meta player. And when I say meta player, I mean 40% own him. So you'll get, it sounds crazy because there's a 200k difference here, but you are gambling if you're taking Hall over Hewitt, if they're the two choices. I know it's 200,000, but you're gambling that Hall is the better player and that he lasts the whole time. Whereas you ride the wave, so you get Hewitt in. Whatever happens with Hewitt, 40%, and I think this number will get to 50 to 60. You're riding the wave with everyone. So if he has a bad score, everyone has a bad score. If he gets injured, everyone has to trade Hewitt, or everyone has to hold Hewitt. Aaron Hall's only owned by 4%, and while I think he's D1 absolutely, you're paying an extra 200k, And if Hall gets injured, which he has done in the past, soft tissue injury in pre-season, only 6,000 people are affected. And those Hewitt owners or whatever position, whatever other people have, whether it's, perhaps it's Short instead of Hall or Stewart instead of Hall, or, maybe they've got, whatever, Houston or someone, you're feeling that a lot more than you are feeling it as Hewitt, if that makes sense. Jaden Short, we've got him. Like I said, all of his points come from kick-ins. He does all the kick-ins. Great. Doherty, I mean, he's really good, isn't he? Like 100. Again, I don't know, how long can he keep that up for? It's great. Previously in the past, he was extremely Supercoach relevant. These are the type of numbers he regularly puts up. I just think there are better options. Zeeble, better options. Houston's one, if you started him, you'd be pretty happy, and 7% did. 467, you saved a bit of cash, and you've probably got yourself quite a good defender there. I just think he burned us too many times in the past. McGovern, yeah, he's always going to score. When an AFL player plays with a bunch of waffle players or blokes off the street, obviously a lot of footy was going to filter through McGovern. And I actually think what probably would have happened was, and this is not a joke, this is probably what would have happened. The West Coast defense coach would have said, hey, listen, this is the only AFL player in our entire defensive rotation. You should get the ball to him at all costs in defense. And that's what they did. So he's not going to, he does have the tendency to put up pretty big numbers like this. He does 115. His highs are high, but his lows are low. So yeah, he's not relevant. Luke Ryan, massive. Named on the bench as a message. Great response by him, 156. That's the type of game you expect out of Luke Ryan. If you have him, great. One to watch through for the rest of the year. There's probably not one. The other one I want to talk about is Jake Bowie. Tom Stewart, low. He'll go down in price. We'll get him later. 580 was a little much. I love Tom Stewart. I started him last year. It was 580 is a little too steep for me. And we will catch him on the bottom end of this, so we're happy with that. Jake Bowie's the one I want to talk about, man. I don't know how this guy wasn't on my radar. I don't know how, with all the trash that was in defense, that this guy didn't even... I just don't know how he didn't pop up. He was never on my radar. I never thought about him. He put up an extremely nice preseason number in 80-odd. His first round was, 58 against a very good team, and then he's put up 151 against Gold Coast. And that's... 151 is obviously inflated, but I mean, this is a win. If you've got Jake Bowie, this is an absolute win for you. I'm not saying he's a keeper, but what I am saying is that he is going to make serious money from 265. And if I could, I would get him in, but because I don't have Hewitt, and I'm not going to make two defensive moves because I just don't have the ability to do it. Or do I? I might have the ability to bring them both in. But I am going to do Hewitt, and I think Hewitt is a more important target than Jake Bowie. I'm not saying move mountains to get Jake Bowie. I'm saying if you started him, great. If you can get him, also great. And I will think about getting him in because Hewitt is a midfielder. I just noticed, so I could go Whitfield to Bowie, and I could go Hewitt in the mids. So, but we'll riff on that later. In the mids. Your targets, if you don't have Lockie Neal, get him in. Brayshaw looks like a really nice pick as well, but 580 is steep. Could be one for the buys, though. He is going to go up in price. Could be one for the buys. Think about that. Bo, I think there's better options. Paddy Cripps is one. That's a miss as well. He showed it to us. In preseason. Showed it to us in round 1, and now he's shown it again in round 2. We missed him. I wouldn't move mountains to get him in, though, because we haven't seen their final form. And I know I've just spoken about getting Hewitt in, and he's part of that midfield. It's only 100k difference. The difference is that you can probably get Hewitt in, and he'll probably make enough money that if you have to trade him back out, it's all right. You're committing to Cripps in the final top 10 mids. And longevity I'm concerned about. The return of Sam Walsh I'm concerned about. And I think there's enough value options in the midfield that you can miss a good scorer and still come out okay. I don't think you need to have the top 8 guys in your team. So if you have him, well done. 40% of people, 35% of people do, and that makes me sad. Petraka, yeah, probably miss him. Miller, great. Ben Keys, plays for the Crows, so you can't rely on it. McRae, won't speak about Green. Definitely thought I only hit defense, but all right. Weird. Because I've still got defense done. Who else? There's no one else really relevant to talk about there. Yeah, not really. And what we will do after is we'll hit the break evens up as well. Rucks, I just don't think we're going to see much out of the rucks. I think we'll go these two. Grundy's the pick. Witts is the pick. We may not have to move away from him, realistically. I think we just don't expect. Grundy is R1 for sure. Marshall looked bad. I just don't think there's another. I just don't think there's an R2 option. I think Witts is probably our guy all season, assuming he remains fit. Hayes isn't going to play the whole season, surely. Gorn doesn't look like he's scoring. If he does get down, then maybe, but I don't believe Luke Jackson's going to keep playing like this. Tim English maybe because he's got ruck forward status. Then you can start doing some fancy stuff with Hayes and Cherry later on. But yeah, I think the rucks are almost becoming not relevant. Just have Grundy and whoever else. It's a bit sad, isn't it? Oh, one thing I should comment on is Sean Darcy. If you held Sean Darcy, that turns out it's a mistake. He's injured again. I think Sean Darcy's ruled himself out of Supercoach relevancy forever, if I'm being honest. Fitness has always been an issue with him. And, it's funny how time can change within a couple of weeks, within half a year, within a year perhaps, or a season. He went from being the successor to, I think he's the next Nat Nui. You wouldn't go anywhere near him. And I will never will. I won't pick Sean Darcy next year. No chance. Forwards, Heaney, what a massive miss again. Remains to be seen what happens when he doesn't kick goals, though, what his scoring potential is like. But at the moment, he looks like he's going to win the Coleman. He looks like he's going to kick a lot of goals. So, big miss. I just can never have Heaney in my team. I don't know. I just can't do it. Butters looks like F1 probably. Maybe Dunkley is F1. Got both of them. Luke Jackson, interesting one to watch. Like I said, English spoke about him. I think we're probably going to have to wait a little while before it starts to show who the top 6 forwards are. Because are these really the top 6 forwards? I don't think so. Is that what we're really going to see? Like, it's hard to believe, isn't it? Butters, Dunkley. It's not going to be these guys. The guys we're used to seeing. Is side bottom going to be? I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting forward line. I think we're going to have to use a lot of value through there first before we start picking players for our final 6. That's probably the last place we'll address. And what we'll do is we'll just take a look at perhaps the break evens. Who are the big break evens? Obviously, I'm going to get Cherry this week through McGovern. I think you have to get him. Named R1. My one concern, as I mentioned in my team reveal, my concern about him was that McGovern looked like he had a better role, and Cherry was named with Callum Coleman-Jones himself and Goldstein, and I just wasn't sure that Goldstein could play any other position other than ruck, which meant that Cherry would have to play forward. And, based on what we saw last year, Callum Coleman-Jones you'd think would be a better forward than Cherry. But what's happened is that Goldstein is a better forward than Callum Coleman-Jones, and Cherry's their main ruckman. So, mistakes happen. We'll grab him. We'll bank the cash. Big deal. Ginnivan, I think he's too expensive to get. I don't think there's enough forwards to go down to. And if you're going to go down to a forward, it's Cherry. Martin's got another game. Shelley's got another game. Got McCartan. Bowie, I'd love to be able to try to get, but I think Hewitt's got to be the one there. But we'll see. We'll see, because we might be able to, you can bank more cash if you want to, but you've got to do something with the cash. The cash in the reserve is meaningless if you're not going to use it in the next couple of weeks. And we have no plans, so we don't have many trades coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I think we've just missed Bowie, and that really sucks. But Hewitt's the one. I think Hewitt's a top 6 mid. Yeah, Nash. These are high price guys. There's no one really fun. This guy won't play AFL again. And then we're down to like Cripps, Hinge. There's really just not that much on offer, is there? There's our man, Declan Mountford, generic AFL player. Yeah, we're really dire with rookies. Even Durden's not worth getting for mine at 140k on -11. Like, I'm just not that attracted to a lot of these guys. Oh, who is 117k? Which means that if Soligo's name, we almost have to use the boost to get him out. So great. What am I doing this week? Trades wide and let's captain wise first. I think we'll vice captain McRae because they seem to be playing every Thursday. The Bulldogs, they don't seem to play weekends, so we'll just slap the V on him again. Will we have a loop though? That's the concern. Soligo will probably be the loop. I don't think he gets named for the showdown, so he'll probably be the loop there. So we'll have the Friday loop. And then if McRae fails, which would be highly unlikely, he's got us through both times. I really do think that Neale against North Melbourne at the Gabba is probably the best call. I don't think they have anything to handle Lachie Neale. And I'd be concerned about De Boer running with Touk Miller. We saw him play footy the other day. We saw him in the team. GWS do tag, so I'd be genuinely concerned that they tag Touk Miller. So I'd avoid the captaincy and put it on Neale if McRae doesn't drop a 130 plus, 125 plus. And the trades are pretty simple. I'll probably trade Whitfield for Hewitt. So let's do it. Whether I stick to these, we do this for the content. We don't really do it for anything extra. We do it for the views, really. McGovern goes, and we just grab ourselves. Where is he? Jerry leaves us with a lot of extra money, which is all right. I don't know, I just spoke about it, but it's okay. We got 200k, big deal. We'll sort something out there. There's no one really on my radar. Perhaps in defense there might be down the line. The other option is instead of Hewitt, we can get Aaron Hall. So they're the two options that we can do. I'll think about both of those, but these two have to go. And worst case, you hit the boost, you get rid of Soligo, and I'll probably go to... Geez, if I had to go Soligo, we'll just flick out here. Flick out. I might have 20k or 195. It's a lot easier. I'll probably go to Hewitt if I have to trade Soligo, because with an extra 95, that gives us 300k to play with. In the mids, you can probably move Rochelle up and start thinking about a mid-price forward of some kind. Perhaps move McCartan down, and then I get Jake Bowie in defense. So that's probably what I do there if Soligo gets named, and it might be what I do anyway. And then I get, that's 3 trades. I know that's bad, but that's Bowie in, Hewitt in, and who was the other one that I got in? I don't remember. Bowie, Hewitt. We'll just reset that. We'll get rid of all that. I just had it up. I can't believe I've gone brain faded on you guys. Cherry, right. Cherry, Bowie, Cherry, and Hewitt. So that will be how it looks. I won't do it because I don't know how the boost works. I don't know if when you use it, you're committed to it. So I don't want to click it unless I absolutely have to use it. So, but geez, that looks attractive now that I've said that. Either way, thanks for watching. Long video, but these ones tend to be longer. Late on a Sunday, so if you're tuning in now, perhaps you're waiting for the F1 to start, watching the video. Thanks for watching. Probably not going to watch it. Give that a boycott, I reckon. Otherwise, Monday, got it on while you're working from home or at work. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you guys so much. Always love the interaction in the chat. Always love the interaction in the comments. It's really great. Let us know what you need. Is there any players you want to have a chat about? I'm always responding to guys who ask. Hey, what about this player? Should I trade this guy? Who should I get in? I think one last thing I'd say on the boost. If you only get 5 boosts, I know, but I think this is a pretty important round. There's a lot of price changes going on. If you do have to adjust 3 guys and you're going to lose significant money, I can't think of anyone, but perhaps you've really failed on a couple of picks, don't be afraid to use one of your boosts now. You get 5 of them, and if you're just playing for leagues, you only have to worry about, 18. You don't have to worry about too many rounds, So there's still 30, you're still capped at 35 trades. So it's 5 extra trades, but you boost. So don't stress if you have to use it now because you've really bombed on a pick. But yeah, cheers guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll chat during the week when teams drop.